Delegates, it is with great pleasure that I present to you our United States Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Give it up, give it up, give it up, NEA!
Thank you. How we doing? Great to be here. Great to be here. Thank you, Becky, for that introduction and for all you do as a fierce champion for our nation's educators. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Becky. We feeling good today or what? Yeah. I'm so happy to be here. I hear this is the place to be. Is that right?
Yes.
Hey, we gonna make some noise this week?
Yes.
Are we gonna be so loud they could hear you in Tallahassee?
Yes.
Hey, shout out to my Florida teachers. Where are you, Florida? I see what you're going through, and I see what you're doing for kids, and we appreciate you, Florida teachers. Let's give our teachers from Florida, our educators from Florida, a round of applause. I'm honored to be here today as Secretary of Education, but I'm also honored to be here as a former fourth grade teacher, a bilingual education certified teacher, the proud husband of an educator, and parent of public school children. Do we have any high school educators here? How about middle school educators? Not bad. Any elementary folks here? So great to be here. Look, despite the divisive drama many want to create in education, let me say it loud and proud. You change lives. It's important to publicly acknowledge educators that have changed your life. For me, it's Linda Ransom, my high school art teacher in Meriden, Connecticut. Any Connecticut folks here? We got the Connecticut crew in the back here. Look, one day, Ms. Ransom saw a mural that I was painting about racial justice when I was in high school. She suggested that I put it up in the school cafeteria bulletin board. I did that, and it even got me featured in the local newspaper for the first time. That lifted me up. I felt seen and I felt heard. Later on that same year, she gave me a little tap on the shoulder and said, "You know what, Miguel? You could be a teacher." That tap on the shoulder put me on the path to becoming a teacher, and it made possible the journey that brought me right here today as your Secretary of Education, an educator fighting for educators. You see, Miss Ransom saw something in me that I didn't even see. So when I look out at this room, I don't just think of it as a room of 6,000 incredible people, because together you represent tens of millions of taps on the shoulder, just like the one I got from Ms. Ransom. Your passion translates into children being able to fulfill their God-given potential. Your service leads to dreams coming true. You change lives. And these last few years, you've saved lives. So I want to say thank you. Whether you're a classroom teacher, special education professional, mental health educators, school nurses, support professionals, para-educators, custodians, bus drivers, early childhood educators. Look, I could keep going. You've all stepped up and led our reopening with class, commitment, and student-centeredness. As your secretary, educators, I'm here to acknowledge that we, as a country, we owe you. Yet, in many parts of our country, you're facing an onslaught of disrespect. You went from the pandemic to persecution. In some parts of this country, there developed an intentional toxic disrespect against teachers in public schools. A toxic disrespect from so-called leaders that complain about public education, but sleep well at night knowing their teachers are making less than $40,000 a year. A toxic disrespect from those who want to privatize education and starve public schools from the resources they so desperately need. A toxic disrespect from those seeking to divide our nation by politicizing equity and inclusion. There's a toxic disrespect from demagogues who attack the safety and belonging of LGBTQIA+ students and students of color, banning books and whitewashing our history. There's a toxic disrespect from those that want to Xerox privilege by standing against affirmative action. There's a toxic disrespect from so-called leaders that have gotten millions in debt relief, but throw a tantrum when we're trying to give teachers $10,000. We're not done with that. Sadly, there's even toxicity creeping in from those that rather ban books than ban assault weapons. And you know the type, you know who I'm talking about. These are the ones, they don't trust you to select the book, but now they want to put guns in your hands. There's a toxic disrespect from those seeking to silence teacher voice or vilify educators fighting for competitive wages and better working conditions. I'm here to say that you can fight for competitive salaries and be student-centered. In fact, I believe fighting for professional wages and benefits is fighting for students. It is fighting for the profession. It is fighting for public schools. The time has come for us as a nation, along with NEA, to fight unapologetically against toxicity. My fellow educators, it's time for a detox. It's time to detoxify those who seek to destroy public education. It's time to detox them from ignorance. It's time to detox them from racism. It's time to detox them from hate. It's time to detox them from privatizing the great equalizer. You see, schools are the best intervention to fight ignorance, and educators are the antidote, or dare I say in Florida, the vaccine against vitriol. We need you now more than ever. We need you now more than ever. I keep hearing talk about a teacher shortage issue. When are we going to talk about the national teacher respect issue? Better yet, enough with the talking. Let's see action. Action like lifting the teaching profession. I call it the ABCs of teaching because we need more acronyms in education. A stands for agency. Let's treat our educators like the professionals they are. You know what you're doing. You need the agency to get it done. That means that educator voice is woven into how schools work, along with the autonomy for teachers to make decisions based on what they know is best for their students. B, better working conditions. Better working conditions means we're not normalizing 95-degree classrooms or buildings that were designed for the turn of the 20th century. But that's not all. Let's make sure you have enough planning time to learn collaboratively with colleagues, just like other professions, and that there's high-quality professional development available during work hours. It's not fair that you have to choose between professional growth or seeing your family. Let's make sure there are pathways for career growth where you don't have to leave the classroom to lead. And let's end the professional learning practices that expect you to be trauma experts after 1 hour-long meeting. to improve working conditions. Let's support our building leaders to ensure there's a positive culture in school. Poor working conditions and terrible school climates are pushing teachers away. Better working condition also means having a beautifully diverse workforce that represents the mosaic of diversity that we see in our students and we see in our country. Also, ya es tiempo que nuestros niños aprendan otro idioma. And last but not least, in the ABCs, we have the letter C, and that stands for competitive salaries. Teachers earn 24% less than other college graduates. ESPs earn 24% less than other graduates. Let's pay our teachers what they deserve. As of last school year, 35 states still started their teachers with a salary of less than $45,000. 17 states started their teachers with salaries below $40,000. Come on, man. We could do better than that. How do we expect to lead the world or create career pathways that we need in this country if we're expecting our teachers to be driving Uber on the weekend? Shout out to states like Maryland and Idaho. All right. Shout out to states like Maryland and Idaho for lifting salaries of educators without attaching it to a voucher plan. Let me say that again in case you didn't hear me. Shout out to Maryland and Idaho for lifting salaries of teachers without attaching it to a voucher plan. Educators, again, I repeat, do not let our advocacy for competitive wages be reduced to being anything but protecting public education. Do not mistake our selflessness with submission. Do not mistake our selflessness with submission. When we invest in the profession, we invest in our students and we invest in our nation. At the U.S. Department of Education, we're not just talking about it, we're putting our actions and funding behind it. We've budgeted $3 billion in teacher development, recruitment, retention programs, and much more in salary increases through ARP. We've also pushed out $400 million for teacher pipeline programs. We believe in this and we're not going to stop fighting for you. In addition to the ABCs, we're raising the bar in education because recovery is not enough. We must raise the bar. You can check out our plan on ed.gov. Look, this is our moment. It's also time to focus on a comprehensive education, an education that's strong in the arts, an education that's strong in the arts, in music, and hands-on learning, an education that values college and career, one with strong pedagogy, high standards, and authentic assessments. I'm going to say it here, we must stop teaching to the test. We must stop teaching to the test. Too many generations of students, particularly black and brown students, they missed out on STEM, they missed out on hands-on learning, they missed out on experiential learning, project-based learning, because teaching was reduced to test prep. Enough is enough. I was a school principal when my awesome bilingual students and teachers were reduced, or they reduced their worth to the percentage of mastery on a standardized test in a language that students didn't even know. This despite the fact that the students were growing at double the rate, and their bilingual teachers were working twice as hard to help the students learn a new language and a new culture. It felt like educational neglect that we allowed this to happen. We must take steps in this country to recognize the power of formative and curriculum-embedded assessments that drive instruction and curricular decisions. Yes, you can have high-quality formative assessments that connect to high standards taught by highly qualified professionals. Isn't that what we should be doing? I was a teacher and a principal during the era of bubble kids. You know what I'm talking about. And we don't want to go back. And quite frankly, our literacy and numeracy rates in this country are too low, so apparently that didn't work. Let's get back to high expectations and high standards for all kids, not just the affluent ones in affluent neighborhoods. Let's get rid of the ay bendito effect or the poor kid mentality, ay pobrecito, and let's invest in great programming with better, authentic assessments. These assessments need to be flashlights that drive instruction and support, not hammers that put a scarlet letter on teachers or schools. We are proposing $100 million to get the ball rolling on that. We're not just talking about it, we're being about it. I want to thank the NEA, Becky and team, for all the work it's doing to develop principles of authentic assessments. Thank you. We know we have to make sure our innovative assessments program is working for more states so that we can demonstrate how authentic assessments can work and secure the real, lasting change our students and educators deserve. This will be an area I will continue to focus on. One where my experience as an educator matters. One where your voice matters. Look, we're not going to solve all of our needs today. But as your Secretary of Education, I commit to engaging, to listening, and to standing side by side with you as we fight for the soul of our nation and work to detoxify those seeking to harm public education. Along with our students and parents, there is nothing we cannot accomplish if we work together. And together we will lift public education to greater heights. We have to. Our kids are watching. Thank you, and pa'lante siempre. Thank you.